thank you, Sherri, for hosting this. You just traveled across the country and you're hosting, Bev and me. And I mean, I think we should both, think we should all be grateful that the two of you are here doing this and that the three of us could get together and talk about this tonight, because this is exciting, very exciting for me.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, for being here and for co-hosting Lynda. And I'm really excited to have Bev on here because Bev's been part of our live cast and our broadcast for the past 4 or 5 months, and people are really excited about what she has to say. She's kind of like the go-to when the astrological happenings are going on. I'm like, Bev, tell me about this. Bev, what's going on here? Can you put that in the comments? Because I am not an astrologer. So
we do that, but Sherri, I had a reading from Bev. She did, I don't know if I told you or not, she did a private chart of mine. I told you that, right?
Yes.
Yes. And it was so good. I'm like, you have to offer this. And I know, Bev, you've been working on a lot of things in your life. And you haven't been able to get to that point yet, but you're skilled, you're so good, you're so knowledgeable, and we're just really excited that you finally had time to agree to come on and do this for us. Tell us a little bit about how you got started.
We haven't even said Bev's name.
Oh my goodness. Go ahead.
Really introduced her.
You're right.
That's okay.
Yes. So this is
Beverly Morrison.
Beverly Morrison, yes.
Or Bev or Beverly. Can we call you Beverly?
You know what? Let's go to Bev. I hated Beverly. I told my mother, why'd you give me an old person's name?
So Bev Morrison, welcome. It's nice to have you here. And Bev is an astrologer, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her background and how you came to do what you do. And as I understand, it's a real passion for you. So we're just really pleased to have you. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to astrology and why it moves you so deeply?
I just wanted to say thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. I had an interest in astrology in my younger years, but I was working full time, so I didn't have the time to do it. And I lost my mom in April of 2017, and I just felt drawn toward it. I kept looking at things and listening to astrologers, and the more I listened, the more I could relate to. So I just kind of started studying on my own, taking classes. And it seemed like her death just put me on a path that it's faster and stronger than anything I ever actually expected to happen.
Yeah, death can do that, can it?
Yes. And it's hard to say, but when you get to the end of the lessons, and I'm wrapping up a whole lot right now, settling the family estate and the home, and you step back as you grow and your energy changes, you change perspective. So you can have healed something at one level, but then there's 5 or 10 more levels to it you didn't know existed. And as you grow, you'll keep healing, and the energy is shifting, give you opportunities. And that's how I got into the astrology. Each sign is a certain element. It has its own. Each astrology sign, it's almost like energy. It's layered. So it starts out with Aries. It goes around the wheel, and it's just between the first and the 12th sign as it goes around. I feel like it's layer upon layer of energy going on top of one another. And there are energies as the planets line up that never happened before or are the first time, and it's usually during the evolution and a shift of like we're going through now. And everything in the last couple of years has been spot on with that. We've had that Saturn-Uranus square 3 times here. I think it was in February, again in May, and we're having the last one here the day before Christmas, 23rd, 24th, depending on your time. And what you're dealing with Saturn and Uranus is Saturn represents timing. So it's all about timing. Everything has to be in divine timing, I feel, divine order. And a lot of us have been put on this path in this last year. So letting us heal a lot of things that we couldn't up until this point, because we had to get to the point of mastering those lessons. Even though I wanted to take off and go with the channel or start doing readings, it's just never worked out. There's always been a stop. It's like Saturn puts up the hand and says, stop. Take a break here, look at this. Are you sure this is what you want to do, and go forward? So with that Saturn-Uranus square, this is the 3rd time through. With Uranus being in Taurus, it's all about our physical world. And think about what has happened since the beginning in February of this year and how far we've come along the path. I mean, there's been so many changes, things are still coming out. And I think this final square, it's going to hit people personally, but it's also going to be collectively. On a personal level in your chart, it's going to hit in areas of your chart, but on a collective level, there's still so much more that's going to be uncovered and come out. This is about setting things right, seeing what does and doesn't work, finding the answer and the solutions to make things going forward. Pretty much it backs up all my beliefs about the energy work. It had to be there, and it may be a struggle, and it may be dealing with the good, the bad, and the ugly, but you got to deal with it all and keep the faith. And
so the Saturn-Uranus square, is it just something that's depending on where it happens, like say in what house? I don't know enough about it to ask the right question, but is it something that when it affects, depending on where it is lined up in your chart as to which house it affects? Or is it one big thing that it's saying stop, stop, and it could be stop, stop anything. It could be stop, stop career, it could be stop, stop relationship, could be stop, stop that decision you're about to make. Is that what it's stopping you for, something that you might need to do or might to just hold on before you act on it? You know what I mean? Like, is it stopping you from doing something stupid, or is it there to stop you from doing something because it wants to set it right before you do it?
Okay, let me explain a little bit about it. Nobody who knows about it or hasn't seen their chart, they lay it out, and there's 12 houses, and every astrologer uses a different method. You have to find what resonates with you. Some are, each house is equal, and some, they have houses that have more, say 2 planets in one house instead of just 1 in each house, and each house has its own energy to it. What it does, it starts out with your rising sign, and it starts here on the left, and it works around counterclockwise around the circle, and Pisces is the last sign. So as it enters, as the sun goes through the year in each of the signs that it's in, it brings that house alive in your chart. So certain times of year, if you look back at things that have happened, you'll look back at the dates and say, oh man, this seemed to happen every December. What was going on? Well, if you look, that's when it hits in your energies, when the sun goes through each sign. And then at the end of the cycle, when it gets to Pisces, the 12th sign, it takes all that knowledge and all that learning around the circle, and that's where you start again. And it's funny how Capricorn season also is the end of the linear year, the calendar year. Aries actually starts the cycle, and that's in April, but we end the calendar year with Capricorn, which is an earth sign. It's all about responsibilities. What do I want to take on? What commitments do I want to make? And that's ruled by Saturn, and that's where Saturn's at right now. So that's in the house. It has to do with organizations, government, how things are done by the law, and that's where the stop sign is being put up.
Wow.
Wherever where your house is at in your chart. It's like when you're born, it's like taking a picture of the sky. And each planet and each asteroid and each sign all have higher and lower expressions. So what I feel, the way I do astrology is you look at what's in your chart, and you don't look at it as a liability. You look at it as, okay, what are the higher expressions of this particular sign that it's in and this planet? What can I do for my spiritual growth to come to those higher expressions of the energy? Does that kind of make sense a little better?
That's great.
Thanks.
Wow. So how long, can I ask, how long is Uranus going to be, you said in Saturn, how long that when it hits on, you said December 24th, 25th, 26th, something like that, I think I heard you say, how long will that, because that's supposed to be a big period, and how long will that last?
Okay, what happens is each planet has its yearly cycle. Jupiter is 12 years. Each planet is a different cycle.
Okay.
And the slower moving, the stronger the energy. Pluto is one of the slowest moving. Pluto will never be back in this spot in our chart in this lifetime. So we all came in, I think, to do a lot of these things, and that's where I'm seeing that Pluto and Capricorn. I believe a lot of people who are doing energy work, healing work, star seeds, light workers, we came in to see this evolution through, and that's what I think is so cool about it. Seeing that Pluto is right there in Capricorn, and watching that go through.
Guarding us, protecting us, making sure we get Pluto people. I was told that a long time ago. We're Pluto people, whatever that means.
People come in their generations. I follow an astrologer, Molly McCord, and she breaks down the different generations that were born with one or two main things in their chart, and that's the slower moving planets. So we all came in as generational to do a collective thing, but we all came in at different times, and as you look and break down the categories, that's one thing to astrology that is amazing to me. You could study it all your life and never learn everything. It's a progressive thing. It always, it takes the energy around the wheel, it moves it forward. Each planet has a different cycle, so you may see something in your lifetime that somebody hadn't seen for 200 years. So that's, to me, what's interesting, where everything is at right now, and what can we see in our personal chart, and what can we do as a collective to put that energy forward and try to raise the vibration.
So does this explain?
I need a break for a sec.
So Bev, does this explain why everybody's feeling like that? Like we're at the edge of something, the beginning of something else. I mean, I've never heard more people in all of my life saying at the same time the same thing. Like we're done. We know we're done, and something's like we're right there. Like, you know, is this an astrological thing too? Are things lining up in favor of a big shift?
Yes, it is.
Loaded question.
When Saturn squares Uranus and Taurus, it's also looking at our financial markets, which I find kind of interesting. And being in Taurus, that is ruled by Venus, okay? And during this, Venus stationed retrograde. So Venus is in retrograde, which is the ruler of Taurus. And in Taurus, you've got Uranus retrograde. So there's another retrograde in our value systems, whether that be on a personal level, on a banking level, and it's all opposing Pluto, who pretty much says, stop, this is going no further, how are you going to fix this? And that's where we get into the age of Aquarius energies they all talk about that start next year.
And that square is coming on the 23rd or the 24th, like imminent. It's imminent, right?
It's imminent. It's coming. And what it goes forward, the planets go forward and into retrograde. So it'll move back. It's gone over this particular point. This is the third and final time. So the first time it'll shake things up a little bit. It'll have a second exact square. It'll go, it's like a process unfolding. And when it's at that third and final square, whatever final square it is, that's when things are really going to change. Whatever started, step one, step two, as it had that conjunction, it's finishing up now, and that's why everybody's feeling this. It's on a global level, it's on a personal level, it's on a collective level. You could just feel it because it's so strong. Wow. I don't know if you guys are feeling it right now.
Yep.
It feels like that imminent, like you were talking about the imminent energy. It's like right before like the end of 2019 going into 2020, those 6 months before March hit.
Yeah.
Everybody, light workers, way showers, we were all saying something's coming. Something's coming. I would be on the phone with a friend every day. Do you feel it? Yeah, something's coming. Is it good? I can't tell. Good or, but something's coming. You know what I mean? So it was like, that's what it feels like, except that we are 2 years wiser. And we've released, like you were saying, all this really, really deep stuff. So now it's kind of like, what's next? Like, what are we looking at next? So I guess that's a question for you. What are we looking at next? As far as I know, you were kind of talking about this end of the year right now, but can you give us any ideas about what that's looking like generally? Like, and then, I don't know.
Honestly, Sherri, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have not had a chance to sit down and look at any further than right now. I've been doing this like a couple weeks ahead of time.
I know we talked about it too, so I'm just
That's okay.
Sorry, this is good. This is really good because you know what? I think we're gonna have to do this again, and we're gonna have to have Bev on another time. So you'll have to give us the lowdown next time on what's coming after that. But what else can you tell us about the last year in December, or what we're going through right now, what people are feeling, and like what confirmations have you seen in the charts that you've done already for December?
I'm looking here at my notes. bear with me a second. So that square, again, with Saturn and Uranus retrograde in Taurus, it's the third and final time on December 23rd. And we had a big bunch. Okay, guys, what's the date today?
22nd.
22nd. Yeah.
Okay, today's the 22nd. I don't know if you guys felt the shift yesterday, but we shifted out of Sagittarius season into Capricorn. We had Venus go retrograde in the last couple of days. We had that Gemini full moon that was opposite the galactic center. I don't know how everybody's doing, but I'm telling you, it's like 1 minute you're wiped out, and the next minute, you know, you're feeling those energies. So that's another thing here over this week, the Christmas week, I guess you want to say. There's a lot of things that are going to come up too that have been buried. A lot of traditions, nostalgia with some of the energies that are out there right now. And we've got some good conjunctions also throughout the end of the month. We've got Mars moving into Sagittarius. You know, guys, I'm going to need to look at my notes just a little bit more.
You can
You
try.
should see my notes.
My
I
gosh.
don't have notes.
There you go.
Oh,
When she's saying the
what's
shift, did you
going
feel it yesterday? Well, this is what
I
it felt
did.
like yesterday. Besides when it hit like that, besides nap time, it was kind of like a sidestep right into it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, we're done. We're here. Like, it was like that aha kind of, yeah. I don't know. Communication just seemed to be, it's almost like your team seems to be more like giving you the nod when you're realizing, like, you know, when you put a piece to the puzzle together, how the more pieces you kind of look back and go, oh, that's what that is. If you aren't really right. So it kind of feels like that. It kind of feels like we got a good piece to the puzzle in, and maybe it was somebody's face or something, and the puzzle piece went in, and now all of a sudden, oh, you know, like, okay, I see that, I feel that, or I don't know.
it felt like
That's
a
what it
relief.
felt like.
It felt like a lot of tension was just
Yes.
relieved. Like
Yes.
a very tense Monday, extremely tense. And before that, and then Tuesday was just like, ah, like you stepped into a whole nother world. That's what I felt like.
That's when it shifted when we went into Capricorn season.
Yeah,
on the
interesting.
21st. So yeah, and a couple other things actually happened at the same time. I'm looking at my notes, so I'm a little too far ahead here. All right, so yesterday was the solstice, and that's when the sun entered Capricorn. Look at, because I know they're connected. Everything is connected. And it's like you're working on this jigsaw puzzle that's the size of the room. And you're crawling around, you're putting a piece over in this corner, and you feel like, oh man, now I got to crawl back over there and put that corner in. You're working
think
back
they
and
were-
forth, but
they
as you're
were-
putting it together, you can stand back a little bit. You can see the bigger picture. And that's kind of our whole chart and how each thing in our chart we came in with. And that's something we can learn from, because there's never anything, if you look at no matter what situation you were in, it always worked out. It's about our expectations, and that's a lot of what this is about right now, really looking at your expectations, not having them, and more so right now, we're in a spiritual, listening to the spiritual mind rather than the linear mind. Right now, I think it's Jupiter's getting ready to go back into Neptune here in the next week. And that's going to be more back in touch with spirit. And we had that Gemini moon opposite the galactic center, which is also galactic energies. It's coming from levels so deep that I don't think we can even comprehend it. They said that we are healing lifetimes and healing things that have carried on so far because there were never energies on this planet to support the higher consciousness at this rate that it would take to raise your consciousness for those particular lessons.
Wow.
So we are healing things back, lineages, family, bloodlines. This Pluto is a major deal in Capricorn. And it's been one of the factors that have really shaken up the last 2 years.
Wow.
Well, there was a little aha moment that I got from the galactic beings, I guess, the little nod of acknowledgement, I guess, that if we didn't make it, which we did make it, right? But if we didn't, and we were going to have to say be evacuated for Earth while the changes took place and all of that, if that was the timeline that wound up playing out, that we wouldn't have healed the healer bloodlines. They wouldn't have been activated. So by the time the okay was for the healer bloodlines to get activated, it was like we've already passed and surpassed what we thought it was going to happen. Like as in up in the spirit realm before we took on bodies and lifetimes. It's like we set these goals and then we're trying to use the astrological alignments to help with energy boosts and things, but we've forgotten a lot of that while we're here in a body. So it's like you have to remember what you forgot. And as you're doing that, it makes that picture bigger and bigger, and we can start to see it a little bit better.
It's kind of like, too, you'll find your niche or what calls to you. And, you know, I heard the call of astrology, and I was a little interested at first, but man, to me, it's just amazing. When I took my chart and started looking at it, and I looked at the themes that I came in with, I could identify the situations. I don't know, after my mom passed, it was like, it just threw me into, I need to know, what is up? Why is this happening? Enough already. I've been through enough tests and trials. And I was able to heal through astrology. And that's what I think is so beneficial about it that people don't always see. You know, you go, I mean, there's so many types of astrology. I'm kind of specialized in the field where I look at certain things in a chart that I don't think anybody takes those 4 pieces and puts them together. So I'm looking at it differently than what another astrologer would. And I think you have to follow your energy and where it calls you. It leads me. There are a lot of times that I just print out a chart when I do a reading for somebody. I look at it ahead of time a little bit, but as I'm talking to them, it comes into me what I need to say. I'll look at something and it'll jump out at me, and I'll just come out. That's not anything I would have just sat and said, like sitting there talking to you. It's like channeling. And actually, I had the aha moment in the bathtub the other day. I was sitting in the bathtub thinking about the light language class, and I thought, Bev, that's your light language. Your light language is astrology. You can explain it and you can help other people to read their chart. I mean, yeah, you can get into technicalities and you can take a deep dive, but just be able to look at the energies, where it's at in your chart right now. It helps you kind of to anticipate some of those lower expressions that might come up in that particular area of your life. And you look at the higher, what can I raise that to the higher expression? And that's where your growth is at. So it's like, if you know tomorrow it's going to rain, you know to take your umbrella with you when you get in the car, right? I mean, it's pretty much like that when you get down to it and you start looking at it on a personal level. Because it's like a thumbprint. Every chart is so different. Nobody has, or like a snowflake. Every snowflake is different, and we all came in with different energies and different qualities, and it's like that one snowflake. That's why we can never forget how different and unique we all are. But it all complements each other when we use it for those higher expressions and help mankind as a whole.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
So Bev, so I love what you said about if you have things in your chart, like you said, it's kind of like the forecast of rain, and you go out and you know you've got the umbrella. So if someone has something in their chart and it's kind of heavy, you know, or it's something like, oh my gosh, like it explains a lot, but okay, I'm stuck with this. It's not a sentence, right? Is what I'm hearing you say. It's like something that you can work with, even though it's in your chart and that exists. You can help other people work with it so that they can understand how to navigate it and what it means for them going forward. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. That way, it's all about the intent that you use with it. And if you want to grow, I mean, we have our free will. If we choose to look at it and say, oh, I ain't messing with that, I'm not healing that. When you get to that point that you want to look at that and you're ready to heal it, then that's when you have the intent, and that's when those doors start opening. You start having those aha moments. Oh, wow. Now that I took time to look at it, I'm not going to say it's not painful, because I'll tell you what, in the last 5.5 years since I started this journey, I've shed more tears than I have in my whole lifetime, but it was a healing process, and I've learned something from even the worst situation I've ever been through. And that gives me hope that, you know what, if I can look at one person's chart and help them heal something that's been that heavy burden, and they felt like it was never going to go away, then that's exactly why I'm doing this. And that's what makes me enjoy it. It's my passion. I know that pain and I know that hurt, and it's something that if I can help somebody else not to go through it, or let them at least look at it and say, okay, now I can choose. This is in my life. I see that. Now what do I want to do about it? then it's their free will to take it forward.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
And that's sort of like a superpower, you know, because you can see that you're channeling, what you're channeling is like your higher self who's getting that, you know, downloading that information as you're doing that. That's how I do my readings. When I do readings for people, you know, I get a download from my higher self because my higher self is chatting with their higher self. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're getting a download from somebody, some infusion of a soul level energy that's coming down through you, speaking through you, seeing things, and just allowing the flow to come out. So when you say that is your light language, I love that. That's beautiful. It's so well said. I mean, of course, we're going to ask you how other people can get in touch with you because I know you're going to be offering that, but I want to see first if there's anything else you might have for us that's coming through now that you have your chart, you have your notes, but just as you just sit and you think, you know, what might come to you first if you were going to give anybody else advice that might come across this and see this, and they're listening to this and they're thinking, you know, because sometimes you just need that pain to be validated. So you might see someone's chart and see pain in it, and you're validating that, and it just takes someone else to actually see it and say, yes, you're not crazy, you did have this going on. But you said you like to empower them to have a choice that they don't have to. So you can do that for people, right? You can offer them ideas and suggestions that line up with whatever their squares and their conjunctions are and that kind of thing.
What you do is when you see the square and where it's at in their chart, then you know you can share with them what are the lower and higher expressions of that particular energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at, is it coming in contact with another planet? Because then, like I say, it goes so many multi-layers, and there are so many different possibilities in a chart and aspects. And they can have something that's very painful, but they have other aspects that are in line with it to heal if they're willing and have the intent to take that courage and that step forward to heal it and start doing the work. And it's all about doing the work. Saturn is the one who says, I will give you this when you are ready. You may think you're ready. Here's the stop sign, and that's kind of what's been happening. Saturn's all about timing, and he will tell you, just no, let's make sure that you know it and you're where you're at. And if you're ahead of yourself, nope, got a few more things for you to learn. So you just keep working, and it's a work in progress. My mom always used to say, you learn until the day you die. She said, she was 77, and she told me, she said, yeah, Bev, you learn something every day. That's the only reason we're here, and to learn change and to learn to roll with the changes. You have to have that spirit inside that says, hey, you know what, I'm tired of taking this. Let's see what I can do to change it. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. Pain brought me to looking at my chart, and that's what I knew. Now I can take this, share my, as they say, faith, strength, and hope that you can turn things around. And that's really what doing astrology is all about for me. If I can look at your chart and I can help you in some way, just to say, hey, look over here, or hey, look over there. This is what's going on. Here's what you may encounter. This is the energies that are there. And if something resonates with you, you see a theme or a pattern, then take a little deeper dive and let's find out, you know, where else you can go, what support you have in your chart for that particular planet or that lesson. And it just comes to me. That's what's so amazing about it. I mean, I've studied hard for 5.5 years. I probably have a small room full of notebooks. My sister laughs about my books and my notebooks, but there are things that come to me that I couldn't have understood if I read it, or something I read, I'll go back to it and think, oh my God, did I read that before? Because I sure did not get that interpretation or that meaning from it the first time I read it. So it's just, I don't know, it's where you're at in your spiritual growth as to where you see the lessons. But you know, there's so many of us, I think, who came here to do this work, and we've been on that accelerated path like crazy the last couple of years. But I think that's so we can reach out, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who are dealing with their own things with all these squares, and we're at a point of this, with that square to Uranus from Saturn, we're reevaluating everything. Our time, you know, people learn to work from home, and that was a better thing they learned. I don't have to work for the man. I can do this on my own. People started finding passion, so this was all kind of a flow. Uranus will shake things up, okay? The Uranus planet is the shocker, the joker, but he's also the cosmic mind. So he's given the ideas, and Saturn on the opposite end is saying, okay, wait a minute, no, those ideas didn't work before, but hey, this is coming from the cosmic intelligence. Let's look at this. So this is where we've been, the stop and go, the back and forth most of this year, because they have met up. Again, this is a third and final time. So we've been in that back and forth, and that's why everybody's feeling, oh, it's almost here. Is it ready to happen? We've been in this anticipation mode and anxiety for the last 2 years. But we're getting to the point that I'm hoping we're going to feel some relief at the beginning of the year. I think we've got some good aspects ahead and some things coming, but this next week, just be kind to yourself, be kind to your body, because Capricorn also rules the bones, the physical structure, the teeth. Take the extra rest and the time, because these energies are just wiping people out. I know it has me.
Yeah.
It's a fire that I've never felt before.
Can you explain that for those who may not understand, because myself included, what is a square, and that what is that energy? I mean, you've kind of explained a little bit what that energy might feel like, but especially with these next 3 days going through the Christmas holiday, like what that, so 2 questions. What is a square, and how are those squares? What are they going to look like to people? If there's any more information you have, like specifically with, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, it's really, sometimes it's kind of hard, because that's why a lot of people back away from astrology, because there's so much depth to it.
okay.
There are aspects and the degrees of the chart. You have positive aspects, which are trines, sextiles, conjunctions, or 2 planets working together. Squares are usually actions, struggles, depending on the planet. You have semi squares, and there are so many aspects that are in a chart. That's why you guys stop and look at that one in just that perspective. So you have positive and negative in the chart, just like you have positive and negative in each of the signs.
Okay.
So it gets so complex sometimes that it even leaves me just sitting back going, wow, how did I just do that? You know, because it's that deep.
So it would be different for everyone according to their chart. Like everyone these next few days, even though you've got these general energies that are coming through, it's going to look different for people on an individual level depending on what their chart is.
Yes, and kind of what I'd like to do is I would like to empower people. I mean, if there are people that are interested, I'd like to do something where they could learn the basics and know the houses in their charts and stuff, so they could have it. That's what empowered me. I started listening to classes and stuff I took from Molly McCord. I listened to astrologer Laura Walker, and she really got me started on the Chiron energy as a wounded healer. And then I dove into it, and I just started on my own chart. That's how I got started. And 5.5 years later, here I am saying, hey, wait a minute, we can empower ourselves, and those who want to, let me help you.
That's awesome. Have you thought about starting like a Facebook group or something for people that just want to learn the basics and, you know, something like that? We can reach out in the tribe. We can put it in our Facebook group, and we can invite people from, you know, if anybody wants to join your group, you know, we'll be happy to help out with that.
You know, people kind of learn from each other, and then I probably will do some basic classes. I'll go have some classes and have it on my website available. And, you know, that's one thing that, you know, the astrologers that I look up to and admire. There are people that made it affordable for everybody. You know.
Yep.
And I want to empower people, and I don't want to reach just a certain crowd of people or another. You know, I want everybody to be able to take advantage of, hey, I want the growth here. You know, I want to be able to help as many people as I can. And that's my passion, and that's what this is all about. Because I have grown in so many ways, and it just amazes me because I never saw myself as a spiritual person. And some people would say that I was not at one time, but you know, you learn, you grow, and you don't repeat the lesson. And you know, getting on that personal level with the chart, though, I enjoy it. It's not like work to me.
Yeah.
It's a whole new definition of work, and that's part of what we're going through with that Saturn square, is looking at what do we love to do, what commitments have we made that we don't want to do anymore, what energy do we maybe not want to be around anymore, or what do we not want to participate in anymore. And that's going through a lot of family stuff right now with the holidays. So everybody's getting a chance to look at things and kind of reevaluate. And you know, a lot of times, you know, it's talked about the Venus going retrograde. okay, everybody knows about Mercury retrograde, and everybody dreads that. Oh my God, Mercury's going retrograde. Can't buy nothing. Computers, screw ups, electronics failing. But the thing about it is, when a planet goes into retrograde, actually, you look at it on the positive end. What does it let me go back and look at again that maybe I missed a detail on the first time? Or maybe now going back over that and revisiting it, I can see a different perspective and I can see the growth, and then you start to heal. So retrograde is not a bad thing. Like people give it a bad rap. No, it's not a bad thing. It's just you don't want to look at that stuff again. That's why everybody hates the retrograde.
Right. You know what I learned from Mercury retrograde was don't hit send in the heat of anything. Always pause, turn it off, and come back at least an hour later, if not the next day. Because if you hit send, you're going to go back and so I've learned how to, you start to vent. Sometimes emotions will come out in texts or emails or wherever you're going to send. You get to go back and look at it again. That's not really necessary. Let me take that out. Like you learn how to, I don't want to say censor yourself because we know censorship isn't good, but unless you're self-censoring, it's fine. But that's what Mercury taught me.
It's funny that you said that, because I tell you what, when I was in the beginning of my growth and I was having a really frustrated moment and I was doing a talk to text, and it was not very nice, the things that I was saying, and then I hit send. I went back and looked at it later. It had taken the swear words out that I had said, and I was so glad that it had. So it edited for me, and that was God saying, okay, look at this, Spirit, look at this. It cleaned it up for you. Now, are you going to learn the lesson, or are you going to be a dummy again and hit the send?
That's funny. Tech is doing that. Tech is alive. It's alive. I'm sorry. It's doing it. I know there's some things that were cleaned up on Google for certain people and stuff. I know these things are real too, but is it okay if we put your email in the description box for anybody that might want to get in touch with you and see about a chart reading? Is that okay? That's
fine. And I'm finishing working up on my GoDaddy site. I hope to have that. I wrap everything up here in the middle of January, and then I'll be able to dig more into my work. So I'm hoping to have that by mid-January. And I'll have a spot there too, offering chart readings. But in the meantime, if people want to email me, I'll be glad to take a look at stuff and do what I can do. I'm a little limited, like I said, time-wise, but this is my passion, and I would rather do this all day than just moving and all this change. I don't like change. I have a lot of cardinal energy in my chart, and cardinal signs do not like change. And I have a Virgo stellium, and Virgos are very picky and don't like change either, at least the lower expressions. I have those lower expressions, and so it's been a rough go, but if it got me to this point and reaching out and helping other people, then that's what it was all about. Beautiful. And meeting you two ladies and working with you has been an honor, honestly.
Oh, same, Bev.
Same here.
I want to give a personal testimony because I had Bev do my chart. She did my chart a while ago, and I loved how you focused on those four. And I asked so many questions that I probably threw you off a lot of your stuff. But those four aspects that you had focused on, and I felt such a sense of relief because I came in with so much stuff, but I didn't know that. And it was like this weight and this pressure. And after talking to you, it's just like things just shifted so much for me. So I really encourage everybody to reach out to Bev, because there might be things that you have been seeking answers to through different modalities and have not been able to get the answers clearly. When you sit down with Bev, she'll tell you exactly why. And that's sometimes all you need to hear, like, yes, a clear yes, and this is what's happening, and this is what I've seen. And like, to get that validation, it helped me heal quickly and really deeply, and then to move on to the next thing and be like, okay, now I can tackle the next thing. And and it's not me, I'm not going crazy, it's this, it's great.
That's the empowerment of giving people that knowledge, because there are a lot of things in my life I just kept thinking, man, what did I do to deserve all this stuff, And then I got to the point, okay, let's wait a minute. Let's look at what was the common denominator in all of these situations. Oh, that was you. Okay, so now that's how I started digging into astrology. And what got me really started is I read a book that Laura Walker wrote on Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. That made me take a deep dive, and that's one of the planets I think is very important. I work with Chiron, the wounded healer, Black Moon Lilith, and I like which Laura Walker also did a book on. And I would work with the North and South nodes, which are the karmic nodes in your chart. So it's what you came in, when you came in with knowledge from your prior lives and lifetimes, and what you came here to work on. So it's like exactly across the chart from each other. What you need to work on, what expressions or what you came here to heal, and what lessons you came here with. And it all depends on where it's at in your chart as far as house placement and then sign. So it's like that fingerprint. Everybody's is different. And when it comes alive and speaks to you, kind of like with your chart, Sherri, and yours, Lynda, it just felt so good to share that with you, because I know I've wanted to beat my head against the wall some days going, why can't I learn this? What is this about?
Yep.
Wasn't ready. It was Saturn in the timing again, you know?
Good old Saturn. Well,
Yeah.
I'd like to echo what Sherri said too about the testimony, because I know I mentioned it earlier that you did my reading, but it wasn't quite a testimony like that. It was fantastic, especially when you said North Node and South Node, because that was relevant in my chart and you had never seen anything, something like, and I needed that validation to hear that, because I think everybody wants to be special. It's some individual, nobody's like me, right? But when you validated that and you explained what the North Node and the South Node was, and then about how the North Node for the collective is coming up or something, and it was on some 0 degrees. I don't remember everything you said, but I remember when you told me at the time, I was just like, well, that makes a lot of sense, because I wasn't just closing the chapter and starting a new chapter. I was literally closing a book, and that's what I'm doing. I'm in that process now. So to be able to view it, that it's astrologically aligned for me. Now I see all the numbers. Now I'm seeing my galactic kin everywhere. Now I'm seeing everything. Like even when I think I'm like, I was supposed to go here and I wind up here, and then I see my galactic kin number again. I'm like, I was supposed to be right here. It's helped with everything, but you explained it so well. And like Sherri said, after the reading that you did for me, everything kind of shifted after that, so that it was more like I could take a breath and relax, that I was in the alignment that I needed to be in. So thank you for that reading. And I highly recommend, Bev, to anybody watching, get your reading done from her. She will not do you wrong at all. You guys will be thrilled after you have a reading from Bev.
And the way you explained everything too, because for people, astrology has it can be, like you said, it's extremely complicated. You could spend your whole life looking at it. So when you use these terms, Bev, you were great about saying to me, okay, this is what, the lower half of your chart means. This is what the upper half means. And I would ask you what's the galactic center, and just answering so many questions so clearly, and it's not so esoteric. Like Bev does an amazing job at answering your questions and explaining exactly what each piece means. And because if you don't understand that, you can have somebody speak about astrology all day long, but if you don't know what that language is and what those terms mean, it's not going to land the same way that it lands if you do know. So just to everybody out there, like, you will get more than just the channeled reading, more than just the chart reading. Bev will explain to you what everything means, so that you walk away going like, okay, I finally get astrology. Like, I finally get it.
and that's why I believe it's my light language. Because it just comes to me. It's like, I've studied astrologers and I've listened to astrologers, and sometimes it's so above my head.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to relate it, in terms that I find. I got Sagittarius quite a bit in my chart, and Sagittarius likes to exaggerate. So I will find the most off-the-wall story to tell you, but it'll stick with you because it was that out of a story that.
I love it.
So that's my light language coming through. I know this because it'll come out and I'll say, did I just say that? But it was exactly what needed to be said to help you understand.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we've all heard astrologers talk on YouTube and they'll be like, well, like Saturn is square, what was it?
Trine and
Uranus.
Yeah.
Saturn is square Uranus. It's such and such degrees this, and this is and you're hearing this and that, and all these degrees and you hear all the terms, and it's like, so of course, and you're like, well, of course, well, wait, what? It goes over your head because you're so worried about the terms. But you'll like you said, you'll come up with a story or an analogy or something that you won't forget it, like Chiron, however you pronounce his name. And then there was another one, Osophius or Ophichius or Sophus, the new guy. And we were talking about that, the 13th sign. Well, forget all that. Like you said, everybody's learning. Well, what if there is a new guy and we have to change all the signs? Like, we have to be willing to evolve and be flexible and fluid. And you already are opened up to your higher self, and you're openly receiving guidance on how to relate to whatever beginner you might be talking to. Like Sherri and I will ask a lot of questions because we're like that.
And I appreciated you guys letting me do your charts too, because you know, it was funny. I'm not a camera person. I used to yell at my mom for the VCR, you know, she'd run around filming everybody. So when I got on the camera doing your reading, I didn't have time to prepare. I looked at your chart just a second. When I sat down, and it just started coming to me as we talked. So I find if I don't have my notes, I guess it's that backup thing, you know, oh no, if they ask you this question, because that's when, you know, you get more into the terminology of astrology where it's its own language. So there you go, there's the light language, it's its own language.
Yes.
So you can interpret that where somebody's at, that they can understand it, then it takes the mystery out of it, and it empowers you to step forward with your own free will and do what you need to do. Feel those lessons and take it as far as you want to take it, because the possibilities are unlimited right now for all of us.
Wow.
It's like its own niche, astrology as light language, you know?
I love that. I never, because when I do the light language classes, you know, we talk about signing and drawing and painting and singing and
Dancing
speaking
and
and
all that,
hands. Yeah. And I love that because light language is a unique expression. And when you're bringing through astrology, you're working with the galactics, you're working with the higher realms. I mean, that's what it is. It's the chart of your higher realms, like how you show up in the multiverse, in the omniverse. That's what we're looking at, right? Is how you show up. So yeah, it's your blueprint, your divine blueprint brought down.
And I just figured that out, what, Friday? I just figured that out 2 days ago.
That's amazing.
That's your light language.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I was searching, you know, wondering what it was, and then it just hit me. You already found it. That's why people can understand your chart reading,
right.
Why you can see this stuff to help people go forward if that's what they want to do.
nice.
Wow.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, the first class you offer, I'm going to be one of your students. I can't wait.
Awesome. You know, it just feels good. That's the thing about the spiritual work, you know. You can hit that low of lows, but you know, the next day something will happen and you'll be able to help somebody, or something comes through that confirms, and then that's unlike anything that you could feel on this physical plane. It's amazing.
Spirit
That's
always
the things
provides.
you have to grab onto, that magic. Don't ever forget about the magic, or don't ever let go of your faith. Just let your expectations go, and anything is possible.
Amen.
Wow. Amen. Yeah, that's beautiful, Bev. I love it. Well, we're looking forward to having another conversation with you very shortly, and like hopefully once these, you know, we get past the new year, and you're in a space where you're not so busy, and that would be awesome to hear about what's going to be coming forward, because I don't know, it feels like something's coming that's pretty big. So it sounds like we've had some crazy, like you were saying, like Pluto's never going to be right in our signs
In our lifetime.
in our lifetime.
Yeah, in our lifetime, it'll never be in that spot. There's a couple things that are, once they hit these points, and I'm thanking God some of them are leaving the planets they're leaving. Because it's been painful in my chart in a lot of things, and I'm glad that they're passing on by. See ya, you know.
Yeah.
So there's
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Goodbye. Don't let the door hit you.
Yeah, exactly. Done with that
Yeah.
lesson. Wear that T-shirt, burn it now. Thank you. You know, but yeah. I look forward to coming back on. I'd like to study some of the stuff in January. Again, I've just been maybe a week or so ahead of the energies myself. And I like to take the time out, because I know as sure as I don't listen or educate myself a little bit, something will come up, and later on I'll say, well, if you just listened to that first or looked at the aspects, you would have known. So,
Well,
we kind of at least stay 2 weeks ahead.
yeah.
There you go. It'll be like what's in store for you in 2022, coming at you soon.
Yeah.
Ready for the next chapter, believe me.
Yes.
Fantastic.
We're ready. We're ready. Eyes wide open, guys, right?
Definitely. We've come too far to give up the fight now.
And hearts open. Yes.
It's open.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Bev, for being here, and hope everyone enjoys, and I hope everyone reaches out to Bev too. We'll have her email in the description box, like Lynda said.
We can't wait to see you guys again. So this will be going out probably on both of our channels, right?
Yeah.
And we'll be back for Soul Sistar Speak
Yes.
soon enough on Sherri's channel on Monday at 9 Eastern time.
Yep. Not this Monday.
Nope, not
Monday,
this.
but after the first
Yes.
Monday in January. Yeah.
After, yes, in 2022. Yes. Oh, we get to live this. Wait till you see which one this is going to be, because we get to live everything we teach. We get to live, sort of, kind of. And this one is like a time of blessing and all of that. So it's perfect that we're sitting on this. I said that to you earlier, Sherri. It's awesome that we're living through that. This is
Well,
a
it's kind of
perfect
like,
time.
it's like Bev said, it's like those energies are like, oh, hold up. Not yet.
Yes,
Not
it's
yet.
exact-
That's what it's feeling like. That just came through like, okay, you got to slow down. Like, give us some time. So yeah, that's
And
what
not always listen to the linear mind, but listen to the cosmic mind of what you're putting out. It's a lot more spiritual and intuitive right now. It's really opening up the intuition and all the clairs they talk about. All that is really tapped in right now. And I know I've been getting a lot of confirmations here in the last week or so, but I really enjoyed coming on the show tonight, and thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you, Bev.
for being here.
Thanks so much.
Hi, this is Lynda. Thanks for tuning in. If you resonate with this video, or if you receive some benefit from it, would you please consider sharing it? Thanks for your support.